Welcome back, YouTube universe. Welcome to Reading for Sunday. We are in the middle of the third Sunday in Lent, and yesterday we looked at the Exodus passage. Today we're going to look at our psalm reading, and our psalm reading is from Psalm 19. So if you have a Bible and you are trying to follow along, go ahead and open to Psalm 19. I will grab my Bible and open that up as well. I also have my notepad, which is helpfully titled Notepad. Alright, let's go to Psalm 19. I already wrote that one out here, Psalm 19. And now we're going to open this up. Psalm 19 is a very famous psalm. Most of you will know parts of Psalm 19 without even knowing that you know them, which is sort of fun, but also can be something that we have to overcome as we're trying to read these things together. What we want to pay attention to in this psalm are a bunch of different things. But the first one is that the first section of the psalm right here is devoted to the ways in which creation itself speaks or does not speak to God's glory and God's revealing. And this is, I think it's important in the psalm to realize this. Like sometimes we hold this up as if this sort of natural revelation or this sort of created revelation like this is this sort of amazing, sort of awesome thing. And it is that, right? And the passage is described really beautifully. But in the passage is also subservient to the commands of God, right? The very next line, the line that starts the next section for us is, the law of the Lord is perfect. And it's more to be sought after than gold or fine gold. And the point of this is that there is something maybe to be gleaned from God in creation. But what is seen in creation is far inferior to what we see in the commands of God, which is sort of hard for us to think of, right? That usually our impulse is that commands or laws are always negative or they're always restrictive somehow or whatever. But the psalmist here is saying that as amazing as creation is, as much as creation awes us and inspires us, the law of God ought to do the same thing and then some, right? That the commandments of God go beyond even the awe we might feel at the ocean or in a mountain or something like this, right? It's an important thing to kind of remember. And the other piece to remember is our connection back to Exodus 20 here, is that Psalm 19 is talking about these commandments, right? The commandment of the Lord, the law of the Lord. Certainly it includes more than just the Ten Commandments, but there's no question that the writer of Psalm 19, accredited to David, would have been thinking of the specific Ten Commandments that we looked at yesterday. So that's an important piece. It's important because our impulse is that commands equal restrictions and the kind of the end of freedom for us. That's just a cultural bias that we have, right? But this is exactly antithetical to what the Psalm's saying, which is that in the commands of God are actually freedom, right? That there's actually gold. It's sweeter than honey. We're going to look at this. In keeping them, there's great reward, right? One of the reasons the commands are valuable is because they tell us who we're not, right? Keep back your servant also from presumptuous sins. Let them not have dominion over me, right? He's talking about his own sins, and this sins and the dominion of sins. And one of the things that's fascinating here that may come up in our future readings, not just sins and the dominion of sins, but that there are sins that we don't even know, right? This sort of unknown sins to us. And that's a strange category. It's not one we talk about very often because it's sort of uncomfortable for a bunch of reasons. But yeah, these are some of the things we want to catch when we're looking at Psalm 19. And then it ends with this beautiful prayer, which is a great Lenten prayer. It's a great prayer anytime, but especially in Lent here. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer. That's the prayer, right? That's That's always our prayer in a certain way, Lent or otherwise, that our words and what we think about and what we dwell on in the very essence of our being would be acceptable to God. All right, with that prayer, look over Psalm 19. Pay attention to it. The commands of the Lord bring life. All right, we'll talk to you guys tomorrow.